I never thought I'd post something like this, but here we are. I'm the guy who somehow became the punchline at his own family dinner. And not for a dumb joke or something I did in high school, no. For the life I built. Or thought I was building. Let me back up. I'm 35. I've always been the quiet achiever type. Never the loudest in the room, but I've been grinding since college. Built a decent career, married my high school crush, bought a small house just outside the city. Nothing extravagant, but solid. Real. Or so I thought. The first signs of trouble? You'd think it was something dramatic. It wasn't. It was quiet. A kind of silence that slips in and settles around your life like dust. No more, how was your day? No more casual touches. No more eye contact that meant anything. I chalked it up to stress. Work. Bills. Life. But deep down, I felt it like being in a warm house that's slowly losing heat. My wife, Emily, changed. She used to be my anchor, now she was distracted, always on her phone, claiming it was just work. The laughter was gone. So was the intimacy. But I kept telling myself, marriages go through phases. Right? Then came the family dinner. It was my mom's birthday. Everyone was there. My siblings, their spouses, cousins, even my Uncle Rob, who normally hates crowds. It was supposed to be a good night. I'd even brought a small cake Emily liked, lemon and poppy seed, because I knew she'd pretend not to eat dessert, then sneak a bite when she thought no one was looking. Halfway through the night, someone made a joke about trust. I don't remember who. But then my younger brother, Jake, looked straight at me and said, "Well, at least you trust your wife." Right? Everyone laughed. I didn't get it. Not at first. I looked around, confused. Emily looked down at her plate. My mom actually winced. Jake smirked. And then it hit me, they knew something I didn't. The kind of cold that ran down my spine in that moment is hard to explain. Like my whole body realized the betrayal before my brain caught up. My pulse went quiet. Everything slowed down. That was the moment the floor began to crack under my life. After the dinner, I pulled Emily aside in the car. My hands were shaking, and I didn't even realize it until I dropped the keys. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't scream. I just asked, "What was that about?" She gave me this flat look, not angry, not sad, just hollow. And she said, "We'll talk at home." That 17-minute drive back to the house was the longest of my life. She stared out the window like I wasn't even there, like the guy who paid the mortgage and rubbed her feet when she was sick was now some Uber driver who talked too much. We sat down in the living room, and she finally said it. "I've been talking to someone else." Just like that. Not "I'm sorry." Not "it was a mistake." Just a bland, robotic announcement like she was reporting the weather. I couldn't breathe. It wasn't just the betrayal, it was the way she said it. No emotion. No guilt. Just detachment, like the cheating had already happened so long ago it barely felt relevant. I asked her who. She hesitated, then said, "You don't know him." It's no one important. But I did know him. Because 3 days later, my cousin Danny, yeah, that Danny, messaged me on Instagram with a screenshot. It was Emily. And him. In a bar. In our city, while I was working overtime to pay off the new HVAC system she said she wanted before winter. The caption on the post? "I don't care if they find out. Love is louder." The post had been up for 5 weeks. Everyone knew. My brother, my cousins, probably even my dad. And no one told me. Not one person pulled me aside. Not one of them gave me the heads up. They just watched it play out, probably laughed behind my back, then showed up to dinner like it was a sitcom. And when I confronted Emily with the screenshot, she said, "I thought you knew." No apology. No tears. Just that. "I thought you knew." So yeah, I lost it. Not violently, just emotionally. I stood in the kitchen, holding my phone, trying to process that everyone knew my wife was hooking up with my cousin, and I was the only idiot left in the dark. I remember asking her, "Did you fall out of love with me, or did you just think I was easy to fool?" She didn't answer. She just picked up her water bottle and walked upstairs like it was a regular Tuesday. That night, I didn't sleep. I just sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the wall, while she snored next to me like nothing had happened. The next morning, I packed a small bag, just clothes and my laptop, and went to stay at a friend's place. I told my parents what happened, thinking I'd get at least some support. Wrong again. My mom said, "Well, maybe if you were more assertive, she wouldn't have drifted." My dad muttered, "You always were too soft." But the worst was Jake, my own brother, who straight up laughed and said, "You didn't notice?" Dude, everyone noticed. You're like a blind golden retriever. Loyal for no reason. I was stunned. I asked, "So you knew?" And said nothing? He shrugged and said, "It wasn't my business." Then he added, almost gleefully, "Man, you're a disgrace to the family." Seriously? Letting your wife cheat with Danny of all people? That's rock bottom, bro. And they laughed. My whole family. They stood in the kitchen where I used to do dishes after every holiday meal, and they laughed. Like I was some pathetic clown who finally got what was coming. It wasn't just betrayal from Emily anymore. It was betrayal from everyone I trusted. I didn't cry right then. I think my body was too stunned for that. But when I got back to my friend Mark's apartment, I went into the bathroom, locked the door, sat on the floor, and broke down like I was 8 years old again. Not because she cheated. Because no one cared. After that breakdown in Mark's bathroom, something inside me snapped. I wasn't just sad anymore. I was angry. The kind of anger that simmers under your skin like it's trying to burn its way out. Not the punch a wall kind, I'm not that guy. This was colder. Sharper. Focused. I stopped reaching out to my family. No texts. No calls. Radio silence. I spent 2 days just thinking. No TV. No music. Just silence. I went back through everything, every late night shift, every girl's night that felt off, every time she suddenly changed her phone password. It was like rewatching a horror movie where the monster was in plain sight the whole time and you were just too dumb to notice. Then I got curious. I opened my laptop. I knew Emily used the shared iCloud account sometimes by accident, and when she switched phones last year, she had temporarily synced things to my MacBook. I doubted there'd be much, but I checked. That's when I found the folder. Buried in the downloads folder, mislabeled as taxes_2022. It was a collection, selfies, messages, and yes, photos. All of her and Danny. Dates. Hotel rooms. Screenshots of their conversations where she called me the roommate and made fun of how I still believed she was too tired every night. They joked about me. They joked about me. In one message, Danny wrote, "Does he still bring you flowers like a loser?" And she replied, "Yep. Like clockwork. He's so predictable, it's honestly cute. Like a dumb dog that brings sticks." I slammed the laptop shut. Not because I couldn't take more, but because I could. And I knew that if I read one more word, I might actually lose my mind. That night, I made a decision. I wasn't going to confront her again. I was going to document everything. Every screenshot. Every timestamp. Every receipt. If I was going down, I was taking my dignity with me. I spent the next few days in full-on detective mode. Quiet. Calculated. Mark let me use his printer, and I started building a physical file. Notes, dates, screen caps, even a hotel reward statement she stupidly left linked to our shared email. It was all there. Turns out, she'd used our joint credit card to book a weekend getaway with Danny in the same hotel we stayed in for our anniversary 2 years earlier. Classy, right? But what really pushed me over the edge? There was a voicemail she accidentally saved to iCloud. I still don't know how it ended up there, but it was her. Talking to him. She was giggling, saying, "He's so clueless. He actually asked me if I wanted to do a vow renewal next spring. Can you believe that? I'd rather be dead than wear that dress again. That dress. The one I paid for. The one I carried in the rain to the car because the boutique forgot to give us a garment bag. The one she cried in when her mom told her she looked like a princess. And now it was a punchline. To Danny. And the worst part? She didn't even seem afraid I'd find out. Like she thought I'd just swallow it. Accept it. Move on, maybe sleep in the guest room and pretend we could co-parent a dog and keep our social lives intact." She had no idea I was 5 steps ahead. Because here's the twist, the lease was in my name. The car she drove? Mine. The health insurance she used? Mine. The utilities? Yep, all mine. She didn't even know the Wi-Fi password without me. So I stopped playing the role of the betrayed husband. I became something else. Calm. Cold. Focused. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to fight. I was going to evict her life from mine. Piece by piece. I started with the small things. I changed the Wi-Fi password. She thought it was a glitch. I watched her reset the router twice before giving up and using her phone's hotspot. She didn't even ask me about it. That told me everything I needed to know. She'd already emotionally checked out. I was just furniture at that point. Next, I logged into our streaming accounts and removed her profiles. Logged her out of Spotify. Kicked her off my Netflix. Childish? Maybe. But when someone disrespects you so completely, you reclaim control however you can. Then I scheduled a locksmith. Quietly. I waited until she was out running errands, which, let's be real, probably meant another rendezvous with Danny, and had the locks changed. The same afternoon, I boxed up her things. Not violently. Not like a man scorned. Just methodically. Her closet, her desk, the junk drawer she took over in the kitchen. Everything she ever touched that wasn't mine went into storage bins and trash bags. Mark helped me carry it all to the garage. The final piece? The bank account. I opened a new one. Moved my direct deposit. Transferred the emergency fund. She'd left it untouched, probably assumed I'd never notice because she never contributed a cent to it. I also canceled the joint credit card. Left her with one warning email that just said, "You're being removed from all shared finances. You'll need your own account starting next week." She read it at 3:12 a.m. I saw the read receipt. But she didn't respond. Not yet. That came 2 days later. It was a Friday afternoon when I finally got the text. "Emily, hey, what's going on with the bank account? My card got declined at Trader Joe's." I waited a full hour before replying. "Me, check your email. You've been removed from all shared finances. Good luck." 5 minutes later, my phone lit up like a Christmas tree. Calls, texts, even a voice message. Suddenly, now she wanted to talk. Now that her oat milk and wine weren't scanning at checkout. "Emily, you're being really immature. Emily, we can work this out if you stop acting crazy. Emily, this isn't you. You're better than this." Isn't it wild how cheaters always think they're the ones who set the tone for what's mature? I didn't respond. Not to her guilt-tripping, not to the half-baked apologies that followed. Instead, I booked a consultation with a divorce attorney the following Monday. I walked in with a literal folder labeled evidence and watched her eyes widen as I flipped through pages like a prosecutor. The lawyer said, "You've already done more than half my job." I said, "Good. I want her out. No alimony. No amicable separation. Just gone." That weekend, I sent Emily a formal notice of separation. Included a list of her belongings she could pick up from the garage. I even gave her a 2-hour time window and said I wouldn't be there. I knew she'd try to manipulate me if I was. She showed up late, of course. And she brought Danny. I watched from Mark's Ring camera as he helped her carry the boxes into his beat-up Corolla. She didn't even look around. Just loaded and left like it was just another errand. That was the last time I saw her in person. No tears. No apologies. No, we had something real. Just boxes. And silence. And you know what? I finally slept that night. If the story ended there, maybe I could have walked away clean. Bruised, sure. But intact. But no, the next hit came from the side I wasn't guarding, my own family. I made the mistake of telling my sister first. I thought she'd get it. She'd never liked Emily, at least I thought she hadn't, but apparently, time makes hypocrites of everyone. Her response? Well, maybe if you hadn't been so boring, she wouldn't have strayed. Boring. That's what she called me. A man who worked 60-hour weeks to pay off the mortgage, who cooked dinner 3 nights a week, who remembered birthdays and sent flowers just because. And it didn't stop there. A few days later, my phone started lighting up again, this time from my mother, my aunt, my cousin. It was a family group chat I hadn't seen active in months, and suddenly they all had opinions. Turns out, Emily had already gotten to them. She spun the story like I was some emotionally distant, borderline abusive robot who never let her have a life. She framed it like I was the reason she had to find comfort elsewhere. The kicker? She even made it seem like Danny was a friend who helped her escape. And they bought it. They didn't even ask for my side. The cherry on top? During a barbecue my parents hosted, my cousin, the same one who used to borrow my truck to move, laughed and said, "Man, you really let a girl slip through your fingers, huh? Even Mom said you're kind of a disgrace to the family." I left without saying a word. No plate. No goodbye. Just silence. That was the moment the betrayal really hit. Not Emily. Not Danny. But them. Because lovers might leave you, but family? They're supposed to know you. And mine didn't even blink before throwing me under the bus. After that barbecue, I didn't just feel angry, I felt erased. Like everything I had built, the relationship, the reputation, the damn loyalty, had been rewritten overnight by someone else's lies. I kept replaying that word in my head. Disgrace. It haunted me. I didn't confront them. I didn't beg for them to hear me out. I let them go. That night, I unfollowed every single family member on social media. I took down my wedding photos from Facebook. Archived every post with Emily's face in it. Changed my relationship status to nothing at all. Just blank. The next day, I walked into my job and asked for a month off. No one even questioned it. My boss had gone through a divorce the year before, he just looked at me and said, "Take it. Get your head right." So I did something that scared the hell out of me. I got in my car and drove. No destination, no plan. Just me, a duffel bag, and a list of hotels off the interstate. I stopped in small towns. Ate at diners. Talked to old men playing chess in the park. I sat on lake docks with coffee at sunrise and realized I'd forgotten how quiet the world could be without drama chewing in your ear. And somewhere in that silence, I started to rebuild. I made a rule for myself, no talking about her. No explaining. No justifying. Just me, in the present. Existing. And damn, it felt good. I bought a little leather notebook and started journaling. First entry was just one sentence. You are not the version of you they told the world about. Every day after that, I added more. Lists. Memories. Thoughts. Eventually, plans. By the end of the month, I had something I hadn't felt in a long time. Direction. It happened in a hotel parking lot in Utah. I was sitting on the curb, eating gas station trail mix and watching the sunset bleed orange over the mountains, when my phone buzzed. I almost ignored it. I'd turned off most notifications, hadn't checked social media in days, but something made me look. It was from Danny. Yeah. Danny. The message was short. Just, "Hey man. I didn't know she was still with you. I swear. Can we talk?" I read it 3 times. First thought, this has to be bait. Second thought, he's full of it. Third thought, what if he's not lying? I didn't respond right away. I went inside, sat with it, replayed everything in my mind, the look on her face, the texts, the timeline, all of it. And something started to click. There were things that didn't add up. Little things. Like how she'd started texting him when we were still sleeping in the same bed. How she'd rushed to shower after going to lunch with a friend. How she always said I was paranoid for checking her location, when half the time it said location unavailable. I responded. Against my better judgment. "Me, you've got 2 minutes. Don't waste them." He called. I picked up. His voice shook like he knew he was walking into a minefield. Long story short? She told him that we were separated already. That we lived as roommates, that we were sorting out finances, and that she was emotionally divorced. She spun a whole fairy tale, even showed him pictures of the guest room to make it look like my bedroom. And the dumbass believed her. Part of me wanted to rage at him. But the other part? The worn out, hollowed out part? Felt nothing. Just tired. I asked him one question. "You still with her?" He paused. "Nah, man. Not after what I found out. She's good at lying. Too good." That was the first time I realized something important. They both deserved each other. And I deserved better. After that phone call with Danny, something shifted inside me. It wasn't relief, exactly, but more like a quiet acknowledgement. She didn't just lie to me. She lied to him. And I didn't have to be a part of her drama anymore. Her mess wasn't mine to clean up. The betrayal wasn't just about her anymore, it was about how much I had allowed myself to stay attached to the idea of us. To her lies, her excuses, her versions of reality. I deleted his contact, ignored any further attempts at communication, and sat down in the hotel room that night with the thought that had been growing in the back of my mind for a while. It was over. For good. I didn't need her. I didn't need anyone's validation of what had happened. I didn't need my family's approval to feel like I had value. I didn't even need a grand closure conversation or a dramatic confrontation. What I needed was to close the door on all of it, turn around, and move forward. The next morning, I walked out of that hotel feeling lighter than I had in months. I'd crossed a line in my mind, and it wasn't just leaving her, but finally accepting it. I was okay, even without all the answers. Even without the apology I deserved, or the understanding I wanted. I had myself. And that was enough. It wasn't just family that had written me off, it felt like the whole world had. I still hadn't heard from Emily, and I didn't expect to. If she wanted a reunion, she would have made an effort by now, but I was pretty sure I was just a casualty in her never-ending drama. No amount of her gaslighting could undo the damage, but for a while, the emptiness lingered. Then, about a week after that phone call with Danny, I got a message from Mark, an old friend from college. The kind of guy you think you'll stay close with, but life drifts you apart. He'd heard about my divorce through mutual friends. I hadn't talked to him in over 2 years, but there was his name, popping up in my inbox with a simple line. "You doing okay, man? Haven't heard from you in a while." I almost didn't respond. I had built this cocoon of self-sufficiency around me, and I was starting to feel like maybe that was all I needed. But something in that text hit me, it was like he was throwing me a lifeline. So, I replied. "Me, yeah, man. It's been a rough time, but I'm getting through it." We went back and forth a little. He told me he'd gone through a nasty breakup recently too, and we ended up meeting for coffee a few days later. It wasn't like it used to be back when we'd stay up all night arguing about politics or trying to impress girls with bad pickup lines, but there was something grounding in the way Mark just listened. He didn't judge, didn't offer me pity, just let me talk about everything. My family, the divorce, the betrayal, the confusion. And for the first time in months, I didn't feel like a freak who was drowning in his own pain. Mark was real. He was raw, and honest, and unashamed of his own scars. There was a mutual understanding in the way we talked, like two people who had been through the fire and somehow walked out the other side. At the end of our coffee, he said something that stuck. "You don't have to go through this alone, you know? Don't push people away just because it's easier. We're all just trying to figure it out." That hit me like a ton of bricks. It was as if I had been keeping everyone at arm's length because I was afraid of being hurt again. But in that moment, I realized maybe it wasn't about avoiding the pain, it was about letting people in, even when I didn't have it all figured out. That conversation was the beginning of a new chapter. Mark and I hung out more over the next few weeks, and with each meetup, I felt more like myself again. The days weren't all sunshine, but they were real. And somehow, the weight I'd been carrying got a little lighter. As time went on, I began to realize that the biggest shift wasn't just about letting go of Emily, it was about learning how to let go of my old self. The guy who had taken everything on his shoulders. The one who stayed in a relationship even when he knew it wasn't right because it felt like the right thing to do. The one who put everyone else's happiness ahead of his own. That guy? He wasn't me anymore. I started doing things that had always been on my someday list. Took up running in the mornings. Got back into reading, not self-help books, but novels I'd loved when I was younger. Spent weekends volunteering at the local shelter, doing something that didn't require me to be perfect, but just present. I started making decisions with my own happiness in mind. And you know what? For the first time in a long time, I felt alive. It wasn't some magic moment, some lightning bolt of clarity. It was slow, like turning a ship around, small adjustments, one day at a time. And it was the first time in years I didn't feel like I was just drifting. But just when I thought I had everything sorted out, life threw another curveball. It started with a call from my lawyer. Emily had finally reached out. But this time, it wasn't about reconciliation. It was about money. Assets. A settlement. She wanted half of everything, even though we'd been separated for months. Even though she'd walked out on me, practically handed me the knife to plunge into the relationship, she had the audacity to demand a fair share. Part of me wanted to rage, to burn it all down. But a bigger part? The new part? I let it go. I wasn't playing her game anymore. I gave my lawyer instructions to offer a clean break, no drama, no strings attached. Just the minimum required. She could have the house, the car, whatever she wanted, but not my soul. And just like that, I felt more free than I had in years. By the time the settlement was finalized, I was feeling better than I had in ages. Sure, I still had the occasional moment of doubt or anger, especially when the thought of what could have been crossed my mind, but I was moving forward. It was a new chapter, one that I was actually writing for myself, not just living out because it was what was expected. Then, one night, as I was wrapping up my shift at the volunteer shelter, I got a text from an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but then I saw the first few words. "Hey, it's Mark." Now, don't get me wrong, Mark had become a solid friend over the past couple of months, but we hadn't talked much outside of our weekly meetups. This text felt out of place. I opened it. "I know this might be weird, but I've been thinking about what you said a while back. About people needing to be there for each other. Well, I wanted to let you know. I'm glad you're doing better. But there's something I need to tell you. Something I've been holding on to for a while. I hope you're ready for it. Call me when you can." I stared at my phone for a minute, processing the words. My mind went into overdrive. What the hell was this about? Had something happened to him? Had he found out something about Emily? I called him back right away. When he picked up, his voice was shaky. He didn't sound like his usual self. Hey, man, so, this is hard to say. But I've been keeping something from you. Something I should have told you a while ago. He paused, took a deep breath, and then dropped the bomb. I've been dating Emily. My stomach dropped. I felt like I'd been slapped across the face. I didn't even know what to say. I thought about how much I trusted him. He was supposed to be my friend, the guy who understood what it felt like to go through tough times. And he'd been with her all along? Behind my back? I kept my voice steady as I responded. How long? A couple of months now. I didn't mean for it to happen, but it did. I know it was wrong. I don't know what to say, man, but I wanted to be honest with you. I hope you understand. I didn't understand. Not right away. But slowly, as I let his words sink in, I realized something. This was my test. I had spent so long trying to cut ties with everything toxic, trying to rebuild. And here I was, being handed another opportunity to walk away from something that could drag me down. To be bitter, to be angry, to burn bridges. But I knew that wouldn't get me anywhere. So, instead of losing my mind, I took a breath. I appreciate you telling me. I'm not going to make this harder than it needs to be. But don't expect me to be happy about it. Just know that I'm not carrying this weight for you. And with that, I hung up. I knew that, as painful as it was, this was just another part of my healing. Another knot untangled. And the weight? It wasn't mine to carry anymore. It's been a few months since that conversation with Mark, and I'm in a completely different place now. I can't say I'm completely healed, whoever is after something like this. But I'm in a place where the past no longer defines me. Where the betrayal, the heartbreak, the anger, the confusion, they don't have control over me anymore. After that call, I cut ties with Mark. It was painful, but it was necessary. The friendship had changed, and I couldn't keep pretending it was anything but a reminder of a chapter one was trying to close. And honestly, that was the hardest part, letting go of someone I trusted. But I realized it wasn't about holding onto the good parts of our friendship anymore, it was about protecting my peace. I moved into a new apartment, one that felt like mine from the very first night. I started saying no to things that didn't serve me, to people who didn't respect me. And I learned to say yes to the things that made me feel whole, to long walks in the park, to new hobbies, to real connections with people who weren't looking to drain me. But more than anything, I learned that I am enough. I spent so many years letting other people define my worth, but now, I've realized it's not about them. It's about me, and about learning how to be my own source of strength, love, and validation. So, to anyone reading this who's going through something similar, I get it. I've been there. You're allowed to feel betrayed. You're allowed to feel hurt. But don't let it keep you in the dark. It's hard, but eventually, you'll see the light again. Let go of the things that drag you down. Let go of people who don't respect you, and let go of the idea that your happiness is tied to someone else. It's not. It never was. I'm still learning, still growing. But I'm finally walking the path of my own choosing, and I'm finally at peace with that.